What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we'll be taking a look at our very first challenge for 2026. Right, so before we get too far into explaining the challenge, I do want to kind of rewind to the very beginning. So back in December 2024 we did actually have a bit of a stale period with the metal markets, and there wasn't really any movement whatsoever. So I must admit, I did actually diversify a little bit with the portfolio and just try to hedge my bets. So I did actually start to invest a little bit into stocks and shares. And this is kind of where I'm going with this challenge. But obviously the first 12 months of me actually stacking, the price of silver didn't actually do anything. But yeah, you can see from the charts, literally this is 2025 now. Bearing in mind that February I'd already been stacking for about 7 months. But yeah, you can see in February we was down at like 24.95, and pretty much up until September it really didn't do a whole lot on price movement. However, obviously we all know September going up through to today, it's just gone absolutely insane. And yeah, we've ended up now, as of Saturday the 24th of January, at 75.39, which 6 months ago I wouldn't have even imagined that being possible. But yeah, so basically I have put 12 months into the market as a little hedge against the metals in case it didn't pan out, which obviously we now know it has. But I ended out 2025 on about 28.5%, which, to be fair, I was actually really impressed with. Admittedly, it's nowhere near what silver's done in the last 3 or 4 months. On a year to year, potentially the metals will win. But over the bigger picture, certainly over like 10, 20, 30 years time, I honestly think stocks and shares will actually come out on top. So, for instance, I currently have 3 1-ounce Britannias here. So these are all 1 ounce of 3/9 fine. So if you go off the spot price for today, these are worth around £75 a pop. Now, if I was to put those 3 into a drawer somewhere, and I was to leave them for 10 years, when I come back in 10 years time, hopefully the spot prices increase. So these are actually worth more than 75, but I've still only got 3 coins. If I was to use that same money, instead of buying these 3 coins, if I was to buy the equivalent value in shares, but if you get one that pays out a dividend, they typically pay out every 3 months. Now, if you reinvest that dividend, then you can actually buy more of that stock. And then when it comes around to the following 3 months, because you have more shares, you have an even bigger dividend, which allows you to buy even more shares, and you slowly build on that snowball. So then in 10 years time, rather than me opening the drawer and just having the same 3 coins, albeit slightly more expensive, however, with the stocks, in that 10 years when we open that imaginary drawer, the dividends potentially would have bought more shares. So as well as having that market increase on the price and being worth more per share, we also have twice as much stock to sell. So you can kind of see where my thinking is with that. So that brings us back to the challenge. So rules for the challenge then is every single month I will purchase some sort of metals, and then the equivalent price in metals I will put into the market. So for the first month of January, we have actually made a purchase, and we have a Royal Mail special delivery. I was lucky I checked in there because we did actually have all the invoicing in there. And anyone that's already bought some of these in the past will know what these are. And yeah, they did throw in a little sweet, which I must admit I could feel that through the packaging. I wondered what the hell that was. But yeah, some of you would recognize this little black envelope, although this is my very first one. But we did actually buy the 1 gram Timecodes bar, which is really cool. That's my first ever gold bar. I typically don't do bars. I tend to stick to like the CGT coins and stuff. But obviously the way the price is at the moment, it's gone absolutely insane. So we've got all the information there. 1 gram 3/9 fine. We have a little holographic as well. Yeah, that's really cool, man. So the way Timecodes work, they actually do this on a subscription basis. So you pretty much lock yourself in for 12 months. But once you've bought your 12th bar, they give you the 13th bar for free. So that's actually really cool, and part of the reason why I decided to go with them. So as you can see, I did pick this up on the 8th of January 2026. So just for the metals alone, we're talking 123.14. Now admittedly there is actually shipping on this as well, so that comes out at 128.14. so I did invest including the shipping, so that additional fiver has gone into the stocks and shares because it is a cost I've had to spend out on, and potentially the stocks in the early game needs as much help as it can get. Right, and then that brings us over to the stocks. Now, before I do go into which ones we actually picked up for the challenge, I did get a notification a couple of days ago to say that Trading 212 does currently have an offer on at the moment. So for the first 5 people that clicks on my link that's in the description, you'll get a free fractional share worth up to £100 when you deposit your first £1. But if you were sat on the fence about doing stocks and shares and you want to dip your toe in, literally for the sake of £1, you will get a free share that you can kind of play around with. So yeah, you don't have to by any means, but if you'd like to have a play around with some stocks and shares, make sure it is a stocks and shares ISA that you click on. But yeah, my link will be in the description below if you wish to follow along the journey and pick up some of your own stocks. So rather than chucking it into individual stocks, I have tried to limit the risk somewhat, although obviously like no results are guaranteed, so your money is at risk. So yeah, as they say, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a strange guy on YouTube trying to do some money challenges. Now, rather than do like a individual all world, I have broke it down even further. So yeah, just because I've used them on another platform, I thought I would use them on this as well. So these are all the distribution versions of the accounts. Now, obviously there is an accumulator version, which is literally where you just put the money in and forget it, and it kind of builds itself and it auto reinvests. Although for me personally, I actually like to see the payments coming back in and actually reinvest myself, just because it gives you that freedom and the fact that I actually enjoy like tinkering with it all. So yeah, so what I've done is I've put £100 out of that purchase price into these ones. So we still do have the S&P 500, but rather than just doing that one, we've got 62% of it. And then we've got the FTSE 100. And then we've also got like Asia, we've got Europe. So we've pretty much covered the globe. So we can kind of tweak this as we go, but at the moment, that's where I'm at. So we did drop 100 into that one. And then for the last £28.14, I did actually decide to go with my best performance stock of last year, which is actually SSE, otherwise known as Scottish Southern Energy. I think they ended up the year on about 28%. So I ended up using the remainder of the money on that one. So yeah, so I put 28.14 into it, and then we did have 14 pence worth of stamp duty. So we've got £28 worth of the stock. So for the challenge then, should we do a race to 1 ounce? So say for argument's sake, the price does not move and it stays exactly the same for the next couple of years. Never going to happen, but theoretically, let's say that. It's going to take me 31 months to get that to 1 ounce of gold. Obviously, if the price goes up, we may do it in 25, we may do it in 20. So if we do a race to 1 ounce, we'll pick up one of these grams every single month. And then until the total value of those bars is equal to buying an ounce of gold off the spot price, which as of today is currently £3,653. And then we'll put the same amount of money that we invest into these bars and other metals into the stock market. And then whichever one hits the current spot price is equal to an ounce of gold, I think is the winner. So that may take a year, it may take 3 years, like genuinely, who knows? But yeah, open-ended challenge. We just keep running it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, let me know in the comments, guys. What's your thoughts on the challenge? What's your predictions on next month? Who's going to be in the lead for month 2? Because obviously this is going to be an ongoing thing. So every single month we will reinvest more money. We will go over the current price from the previous month. And then also potentially discuss some future purchases. If you guys have got any recommendations in the comments. All right, anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. I've waffled on way too long. But yeah, with that all being said and done, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the content today, and I'll catch you all over on the next one.